Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 328 for December 26, 2023. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and this is our final episode of 2023. I forgot to say that already. On this week's show, the Detroit Lions win the NFC North Division for the first time ever. We finally have some details on the USFL-XFL merger, and we're going to be taking a look back at 2023 in our World of Football Year in Review segment. This is basically what Adam and I have done this year, so looking forward to that. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son Adam.
Yep, I'm here. What another year
Yeah.
it has been.
Yep.
Looking forward to you bringing up stuff that I am sure I don't remember.
Yeah, because
that we did.
you never look at what I write for any of this. So
Well, hold on.
it'll be a surprise for
I
you.
skimmed through. I just try to avoid that section in particular, just because I don't remember what we did.
That's the main part of the show today.
Yeah, well, guess
Talking
what?
about what we did last
It'll be
year.
just as much a surprise to me as everybody else. Then
It usually is. All right, we come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and our YouTube video, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at The World of Football in the YouTube search bar. You'll also find other selected videos on our YouTube channel, like Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast. And this week it was their Week 16 game review of the Vikings game in which they clinched the division.
oh yeah,
You can see Adam all teary-eyed from the excitement of seeing his first division title not in his lifetime, but the first one he'll ever remember.
Yeah, that's for
his
sure.
lifetime. We also have our World of Football Power Rankings coming out later tonight. And tomorrow, you'll be able to see our weekly picks video for Week 17 in the NFL.
Yep.
So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right, everybody. Week 16 in the NFL was another crazy one. Lots of craziness went down. Starting with on Thursday night, the Los Angeles Rams won a close game against the New Orleans Saints, 30-22. This was a game I caught a little bit of, not a whole lot, because I was actually at my girlfriend's office Christmas party. We were bowling, so they had the game on the TV. So of course I'm watching Matthew Stafford there.
Yep.
So that was a lot of fun.
I saw some of that game.
Yeah, I mean Stafford was slinging it, and you know those Rams have much improved, and they are a scary looking team.
Yeah.
Going into the postseason if they make it.
Right.
We'll talk about the playoff picture in a little bit. So yeah, the Rams get the win, and the Saints with the loss knocks them out of the top of their division. So the Saints hanging on by a thread for a playoff spot. Then on Saturday there were a pair of games. The first being the Pittsburgh Steelers defeating the Cincinnati Bengals 34-11. I'm not sure if that was a scoregami or not. I did not go back to verify that, but
I heard that it was, but I wanted to confirm that. But
yeah,
I think it might be.
I'm not sure. I mean, it looks like it. I've never heard or seen a 34-11 score.
Yeah,
not saying that's
that was the first thing I thought of was, is that a scoregami?
Yeah, so, but congratulations to Pittsburgh. You know, them figure out a way to get another win when we were all kind of on the Bengals bandwagon. So that just makes the AFC playoff picture just that much more crazy.
Yeah.
Then the second game on Saturday night, the Buffalo Bills almost dropped that game to the Los Angeles Chargers, 24-22. With that loss, the Chargers were eliminated from the postseason. So the Chargers got a lot to do this offseason, but that means the Buffalo Bills surging up in that AFC playoff picture as well. Like I said, we'll get into the playoff picture. It's very interesting as it sits right now. The Atlanta Falcons put a whooping on the Colts, 29-10.
Yeah, who saw that coming?
I didn't. The Green Bay Packers escaped the Carolina Panthers 33-30. There was apparently a missed call during this game. I didn't see the play per se, but I saw wide receiver Adam Thielen kind of talking bad about the refs missing a missing a blatant call
Mm.
or not agreeing with him. So I'm sure there'll be some fines divvied around this week for criticizing officials.
Finding someone for pointing out the truth. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense, NFL.
we'll see. The Cleveland Browns continue to roll, defeating the Texans 36-22. The Washington Commanders tried to come back but couldn't quite get over the hump against the New York Jets as the Jets beat the Commanders 30-28. The Jets were up big in that game for a while. We were watching the score at the bottom of the ticker, and I was surprised to see the Commanders even get within two there at the end of the game.
Well, that eliminated the Commanders
That
from the
did.
playoffs this year.
All right.
Yep.
Well then, yep. So the
Yeah, there were two
Commanders.
teams that were eliminated this week. Washington was one.
Yep. All right. Then the Tennessee Titans fell to the Seattle Seahawks 20-17. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers keep rolling. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 30-12. The Chicago Bears defeated the Arizona Cardinals 27-16. This eliminated the Arizona Cardinals from
Yep.
playoff
They're
contention.
the other one.
Then this game was a thriller. The Dolphins get a big win against the Dallas Cowboys 22-20.
Yeah, that was. I watched a little bit of that game and it seemed like Dallas was up, so I was really surprised and happy to see that Dallas lost that game
Oh,
in the
yeah.
end.
Yeah, always like seeing the Cowboys lose. It's
Absolutely.
America's favorite pastime. And then Christmas Eve night, the New England Patriots played spoiler to the Denver Broncos, beating them on a last-second field goal, 26-23. And then we had three Christmas Day games. We had the Las Vegas Raiders go into Arrowhead and defeat Taylor Swift's boyfriend's team, the Kansas City Chiefs, 20-14. Then the second game of the day saw the Philadelphia Eagles hold on to beat the New York Giants 33-25. And then finally, the final game of the week on Christmas Day, the 49ers fell at home to the Baltimore Ravens 33-19. What a game that ended up being. Just looked like the 49ers couldn't get anything right. I was just every time I looked, there was a interception or a big play by the Ravens who just looked practically unstoppable.
Didn't you miss a game there somewhere?
Oh, did I miss a game? Well, that might have been on purpose because I figured we were going to talk about this ad nauseum. Yeah, let's wind the clock back to the Sunday slate of games where the Detroit Lions did defeat the Minnesota Vikings 30-24 to clinch their first ever NFC North title, their first division championship since 1993 when they were in the NFC Central at the
Yep.
time. So this was definitely not an easy game for the Lions.
No.
They at times looked like they had a handle on it, but then they let the Vikings back into it. Give a lot of credit to Justin Jefferson, that wide receiver who could
Yeah,
just make every stinking catch possible.
I couldn't believe there was like 4 or 5 times when I said he didn't actually catch that, did he? He did.
I'm telling you, that is how it felt. I know felt for other teams watching Calvin Johnson
Yeah.
make catches against him because Justin Jefferson's a freak athlete. So I'm not even mad. Like mad respect to that dude. He is a great player. But I want to throw it over to you. I already gave my thoughts on our Just Lying Around podcast. Lions winning the North Division for the first time ever since the realignment back in 2002.
Well, 30 years it's been since they've won a division title. This is my 49th year of following them week in and week out. It doesn't seem like it's been 30 years, but my gosh, I guess it has been. I lived through the whole Barry Sanders days, the Billy Sims era. Gosh, so many great players, have come and gone over the years, and just the fact that Detroit's never won a division title in 30 years is something else. I had a lot of confidence going into this game that Detroit was going to win because of the way they played the week before against Denver. I just thought they finally got it back. They got their mojo back. They're gonna play well, and they did at times. But boy, did they shoot themselves in the foot a few times with some really bad penalties. Taking a sack here and there, not being able to protect Goff as well as they had the week before. But in the end, I swear, I thought they were going to lose it on that final drive because, typical Lions, you have the lead and the other team gets the ball with some time left, and they did. They worked their way down the field, and if not for that interception on the 5-yard line, we could be talking a whole different story here.
We could be, yeah.
But 4 interceptions in that game. We got their quarterback 4 times, and none bigger than that last one. And there was another interception. I forget who it was, but he started celebrating the minute he caught the ball. He's like holding his arms out to the crowd, and I'm like, quit showboating and run.
Hell yeah.
But no, it was a very satisfying win. You know, all season long we kept thinking, you know, we have a good chance to win the division this year,
So
and
confident, in fact, that we made a video of Randy placing a bet at a casino about it.
we did. Yeah, I put money. I put a whole ten
He
bucks
spent a
down.
half hour before we hit record on the microphones looking for his betting slip that he lost somewhere in his
Misplaced them. They've
office.
been sitting here on this desk for 6 months because, well, not 6 months. It was August when we got these tickets, and you made a video of me going in and placing my bets. Um, so I made two bets. I put $10 on the Lions to win the NFC North. So that ticket is now worth a cool $23. So I'm gonna go
Go
be
buy yourself a nice steak dinner wearing
yeah,
your
a couple of McRibs if I
NFC
can
North
find them.
shirt.
Yeah. And then the other one is for them to win the Super Bowl this year. So I don't know if I'll be able to cash that one in, but this one definitely I will go cash in.
Hey, winning 50% of your bets is pretty good if you ask me. 'Cause how much did you put down on for both bets combined?
$20, $10 on each.
So 10 bucks on it, you already made your money back. You made a cool $3 back no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yep.
So you're coming out on top, just like the Lions in the North Division. But no, look, I also want to say, look, there's a lot of praise that should go around. I mean, it's easy to point out a lot of the flaws because I think a lot of us Lions fans are still feeling like, man, if our defense just played a
Yeah.
little bit better, we'd feel so much more confident. But
Yeah.
they still have managed to get the job done when
Right.
they kind of needed it to, which is unlike any Lions team we've seen. Any other like the quote unquote same old Lions aren't winning this division.
Right.
The quote unquote same old Lions aren't closing out that game the way they had to close it out, even though it did come down to like that Michigan game. I saw somebody compare the end of this Lions game to the Michigan Ohio State game, where Ohio State was driving, had a chance to win, and then Michigan picked it off to win and get their butts into the playoff or Big Ten championship at that point. So a lot of similarities there between two great teams from the state of Michigan who now both have playoff aspirations.
Right.
But I think we also have a few people to point at and say, where did this all turn around at? And you could easily point at Dan Campbell. You could easily point at Brad Holmes.
Right.
But there's two people specifically I think us as Lions fans need to appreciate. The first being Chris Spielman.
Yes.
When he was hired, it was like the moment he was hired, things kind of turned around. He helped find the GM. He helped find the coach. He has helped guide this organization behind the scenes, and I don't think he's getting enough credit, and I think he should.
Mm-hmm.
That other person being the person that hired him, Sheila Hamp.
Ford Hamp, yep.
She, she was booed at the Calvin Johnson, what was that? His Hall of Fame thing at the Ford Field. I was there at that game.
Yeah, the pride of the Lions.
She got booed. And I just couldn't believe that. I thought that was one of the most disrespectful things. And I get it. We were a frustrated fan base.
Right.
But she has been nothing but class.
Mhm.
I mean, remember, what was it? Matt Patricia year. It was her with her hands buried in her face buried in her hands, sitting in her suite,
Right.
watching that team.
Right.
And now look where she is. She's coming out of the locker room after celebrating, and she's got her NFC North shirt on, and she's all smiles. Just the sweetest lady. And so I think she's got to get a lot of credit for helping turn this organization around. She's been determined, and she has, I won't say lived completely up to her word, but I mean, you can't deny results. Right. She has done everything within her power to put a good product on that field, and here we are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, for years I kept saying, I just want this team to have a 500 record, because for so many years they weren't even a 500 team. So at the end of last year, since they got 17 games now, you're not going to have a 500 record, but they went 9 and 8
Yep.
last year. Winning record, but didn't make the playoffs. So after that, it's like, okay, we accomplished my first goal. Be a winning team, over 500. The next was to win our division.
And here we are.
And next is to win a playoff game. Well, we shall see if we can do that this year. And then from there, win a playoff game, go to the Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. I don't know how far this team's going to go in the playoffs this year. I think they could win a game or two, but
it just depends. It's going to be matchups.
Yeah, you just don't know. But I have confidence. That's the whole thing. I've had confidence all year long that when they stepped on the field, they have the potential to win every game that they have played this year. I've felt that way, and that's why I keep picking them every week to win, because I just know that the talent is there, and the coaching is there. sometimes they don't play that well. They don't live up to their talent or their coaching or their opponent. But I know that when they step on the field, they have a chance to win,
Yep,
which is a whole new feeling. Because
it
a lot of
is.
times in the past, you just knew we're not going to win this game. A week ahead of time that we're not going to win that game on Sunday because they can't match up with that other team.
Right.
But that's not the same anymore. They can play with anybody, and they've shown that this year.
Yep.
So yeah, like I said, I don't know how far they're going to go in the playoffs, but next year they need to really address the defense, whether it's a new defensive coordinator, some free agents coming in,
Or just focusing that
or
draft
the
on them.
drafting some really good defensive players out of college. I think they'll do it. I think the offense is pretty good when you've got Jameer Gibbs and Montgomery and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Laporta and Jared Goff. You're pretty well set there that you can now turn your attention to that defense and uh, help the offense out in some of these games and hold on to these leads. They've been doing an okay job this year, but they need help.
Yep.
So next year, defense.
Yep. And then before we, take care of all that, I think the last thing I just want to say is that we are, in fact, going to be at whatever that playoff game is.
Yes.
We have you kind of were
We didn't.
Aaron took the
I
initiative.
was against getting tickets to the game. I said, man, I'll just stay home and watch it. I'll enjoy it from home. But no, you and Aaron were like, oh, it's a once in a lifetime thing. We got to go. And so right after they won that game last week, Aaron went out and bought tickets for us to the next game. Spent a heck of a lot more than I ever would have spent on a game. But yeah, we're going to be there at whatever playoff game they host, whether
Yep.
it's the first week or or the second week or whenever. We will be there.
To witness the first ever home playoff game at Ford
Yeah.
Field. Like the first playoff game I'll ever see.
Well, me too. I've never
it'll be our
been to
first. We've never done it
I've never
before,
been to
so
a
this
playoff
will be
game.
great, and I'm sure we'll turn it into a video or something. Win or lose, like
Right.
I mean, it'll be an experience. So yep, looking forward to that. But yeah, so probably enough about the Lions. I mean, this is the world of football after all, and we got a whole world to get to. So why don't we toss over to Randy, who's going to go through? We had some bowl games.
Yes, we had 10 bowl games. In fact, there's 3 of them being played today, Tuesday the 26th, but we did have 10 other games being played this past week. The first one was the Frisco Bowl last Tuesday after we got done recording. The Frisco Bowl was on that evening. The University of Texas at San Antonio, the Roadrunners, defeated Marshall 35-17. On Thursday, it was the Boca Raton Bowl. University of South Florida shut out Syracuse 45-0. Wow, that's embarrassing for Syracuse. Let's see. Friday was the Gasparilla Bowl. Always look forward to that one. Georgia Tech over University of Central Florida, 30-17. And then there were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games on Saturday. Wow. The Birmingham Bowl, Duke over Troy, 17-10. In the Camilla Bowl, Northern Illinois over Arkansas State, 21-19. In the Armed Forces Bowl, it was Air Force over James Madison, 31-21. This is the only bowl that I've watched so far this year, was Air Force. I really wanted to see Air Force play. I was excited that James Madison got to be in a bowl game, so I was really looking forward to this game. It wasn't much of a contest, I don't think. They won by 10 points, but Air Force was in control of that game the whole time. But I'm glad James Madison got to be in a bowl game this year. It looked for a while that they weren't going to be allowed to play in a game, which is unthinkable with an 11-1 record going in. But yeah, I always enjoy watching Air Force, and they played well, and so I was happy for that. Let's see. Another Saturday game, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Georgia State over Utah State, 45-22. Saturday, it was the 68 Ventures Bowl. Now, that's one that I've never heard of before. I'm not sure who the sponsor for that is. I'm not sure what 68 Ventures is. But in that game, it was South Alabama over Eastern Michigan, 59-10. It's embarrassing for Eastern Michigan. Let's see. Also on Saturday, it was the Las Vegas Bowl, Northwestern over Utah, 14-7. And finally, it was the Hawaii Bowl, Coastal Carolina over San Jose State, 24-14. And the 3 games we've got going on today, the Quick Lanes Bowl at Ford Field, Bowling Green versus Minnesota. Also, the First Responders Bowl today, Texas State versus Rice. And the final game today, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Kansas versus UNLV. And believe it or not, that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. A really short week, and as far as scores go, NFL and some bowl games, and that's it.
Yeah, and for NFL news, as we jump over to that, I guess we could just quickly look at the current playoff picture. I guess if you want to quickly go through that. I mean, we don't really have any
Well, I
news.
thought we could talk about the Lions winning the NFC North Division
Again,
for
some
again.
more. We could make a whole show out of that. I mean, Kyle and I already did.
It sounds good saying it. It really does.
But yeah, I mean, let's go through the NFC playoff
Sure.
picture really
Sure.
quick, and the AFC playoff picture really fast because there's just so much here that I just find fascinating because we have only of the 14 teams that are going to make the playoffs, there are only 6 that have punched their ticket officially
Really?
to the
That few?
playoffs.
I thought there
Yep.
were more than that.
In the AFC, there are still 5 spots available as the Ravens and Dolphins are the only 2 teams to clinch. The Dolphins did clinch with that win over Dallas last night. So
They
the other
just
night.
clinched the playoff spot, not
Yeah,
not the division.
playoff spot, not a division.
Okay.
I believe the Ravens did clinch their division because they are a couple games up. Yeah, they're a couple games up on the
Okay.
Browns. So I believe they've clinched their division. I could
Okay.
be wrong, but right here it just says they've at least clinched. Dolphins clinched. So those 2
Okay.
spots in the AFC are all set. The Chiefs are the 3 seed, Jags at 4, Browns at 5, Bills at 6, and the Colts are in at 7. And then there are still a handful of teams that are still fighting for that playoff spot.
Right.
The Texans, Steelers, Bengals, Raiders, and Broncos are all alive, while the Patriots, Chargers, Titans, and Jets have all been eliminated. In the NFC, you have 4 teams that have clinched playoff spots. The Niners and Lions have clinched division titles, so they have automatically got their bids at 1 and 2.
Right.
The 3 seed is the Eagles right now. They hold the tiebreaker, or they are a game up on Dallas right now. And the Cowboys are the 4th team that have clinched a playoff spot, so they could still win their division. Depends on how the last couple of games go, but those are the 4. The 3 teams that are currently in the playoffs that aren't punched yet, the Buccaneers are leading their division. The Rams at 6 and the Seahawks at 7. And then the other teams in the hunt, the Vikings, Falcons, Packers, Saints, and Bears are all still, fighting for their playoff lives to varying degrees. And then the eliminated teams, the Panthers, Cardinals, Commanders, and Giants. So, excuse me. So a lot of interesting stuff could happen. Like the way the playoffs would look right now in the AFC, the Ravens would obviously have the bye. The Dolphins would play the Colts. The Chiefs would play the Bills, and the Jags would play the Browns. Those would be your matchups if they ended right now.
Okay.
And the NFC, the Niners would obviously have the bye. The Lions would host the Seahawks. The Eagles would host the Rams, and the Buccaneers would host the Cowboys. So,
but in the NFC, the 2 best records are San Francisco and Detroit at both 11-4.
Philadelphia is also 11-4,
and Philadelphia is 11-4.
So
there's an outside chance that Detroit could.
Could.
I seriously doubt it.
It's going to be tough. I mean,
Yeah.
if the Niners, the Lions, I would have to say have to win out, and if the
Right.
Niners even drop one more game, that would give. I think Detroit holds, even if they had the same record. I think at the end of the year, somebody said because if the Lions beat Dallas, that would be like a mutual game that them and the Niners would have, but that would help give Detroit an edge if the Lions and
Okay.
Niners were tied. So.
Okay.
If it came down to it, I think that I heard that the Lions would win the tiebreaker against the 49ers because of common opponents. So, so we'll have to see. I mean, I would be ecstatic if the Lions got the number 1
I'd love
seed.
to see that. But
How many times in the last few years have we seen that number 1 team get blown out in that first game?
Right.
There is something to be said about just playing that first weekend. As much as you want that bye for that extra rest,
right?
Keeping your momentum.
Lose your momentum.
Like what was it, a couple years ago when the Titans had the number 1 seed and they got blown out. That was just boy oh boy, something else. But so that's the way the playoff seedings look right now. It's a slow news week in the NFL. So we just figured we'd go over that real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Okay, let's see. Moving on to some other news. We finally have some interesting updates here on the USFL-XFL merger. They've been pretty quiet about it. Nothing really official.
Yeah, nothing official. There's been a lot of stuff floating around, but nothing official, like you said.
Yeah, but I saw this, and this is according to Pro Football Talk, which I believe stuff that comes out of there. Four USFL teams have survived the merger with the XFL. That's going to be the Michigan Panthers, yay, the Houston Gamblers, the Memphis Showboats, and the Birmingham Stallions. So gone are the Pittsburgh Maulers, the New Jersey Generals. I'm sorry to hear that. The New Orleans Breakers and the Philadelphia Stars. So I think they kind of went with teams that uh,
Those sound like all the teams and
that had
locations that
actual home
had.
stadiums.
Yep,
Yes, yep,
that makes a lot of sense when you
yep,
think about it.
yep,
Which is a bummer because like some of those other teams, I love seeing the Stars and
yep,
the Generals and Maulers were getting. I
yep.
thought they had a decent fan base, even though they didn't have a home stadium.
Right.
But
Yeah, Panthers and Generals were my two favorite USFL teams of all time, and the Breakers, but they changed the Breakers logo and they weren't that good anymore. So I like the original one from the '80s. And then another article that I saw kind of filled in the XFL side. This is according to XFL Access. The four XFL teams will be the Arlington Renegades, the St. Louis Battlehawks, the San Antonio Brahmas, owned by The Rock,
yeah.
and the DC Defenders. The Beer Snake, I think, saved them.
Hmm.
But, so that means,
Well, that and the best attendance in
well,
the
that
XFL
too.
helps.
But gone are the Houston Roughnecks, the Orlando Guardians, the Seattle Sea Dragons, and your team from last year, the Vegas Vipers.
I mean, if as long as the Michigan Panthers survive,
Yeah,
that helps me out. But now you're going to be conflicted, Mister Battlehawks and
that's
Michigan
true.
Panthers fan.
That's true. I did like the Battlehawks for the last couple of years, but you got to root for the home team. So the Michigan Panthers, yeah.
And with them
Gonna be good.
surviving, whatever this league turns into, that gives us just now we only got to go a couple hours. We don't have to
Right,
go to St. Louis
right, and we can
again.
see some of these other teams. The new 8-team league with an XFL division and a USFL division, which is what we figured would happen, will debut in late March. That's what XFL Access had to say. Arlington is going to be a hub city, and they're going to have a 10-game schedule with no bye weeks. So I think by saying they're having a hub city, I think that's where everybody's going to stay and practice during the week, and then on game days they're going to take off and fly to their
Mm.
home cities for games. So they're not going to be located in the cities where they play. They're going to be in this hub city of Houston or Arlington. I'm sorry, but I think that makes financial sense to keep them all in one place, and instead of uh, different hotels, different cities, all that, you've got one hotel, one city, and you just fly them out from there to 4 flights a week, heading for your home's
Well, I assume they
stadium.
were going to make it kind of like they did last year with the XFL, where Arlington was where they went for training camp. All the teams were down there.
Right.
They're teaching them the rules and all that stuff. So I don't know if that was still going to be the case. I haven't looked at the article to see if is that what that just means, or does it actually mean like they're all going to live there all season and then?
I took it that they were going to live there all season.
Mm,
Now, maybe because that's when you talk about a hub city, that's what they've done in the past. Is everybody was there all year long.
mm.
So I'm assuming that's what they mean. But the report date for training camp is scheduled to be sometime in February of
And we
2023.
still don't have an official name for this new league.
No, no,
Okay.
the United Football League has been thrown around. We'll see, but these are the things that have come out of these two sites, and then I thought finally we had something to talk about, so that's why I was bringing it up now.
All
But I
right.
think it's interesting. We assumed they were going to have a USFL and an XFL division, and who knows what the league's going to be called, but it seems like it's going to be the United Football League because they're uniting these two leagues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know how many games they were going to be playing or how many teams were going to survive. So now we know it's 4-4. Makes sense. They both ran 8-team leagues last year, so
Yeah.
they've got that format set, and that's fine. So it'll be interesting, yeah, to see the Panthers and the Battlehawks, and some of these XFL teams versus former USFL teams. So it'll make for good matchups, I think.
I think so. It should be interesting, and the pool of players will be interesting now. Like, I immediately thought as soon as the Breakers were gone, there goes McLeod Bethel Thompson. Where could he land in one of the this new league? Because he hasn't gone back to Canada yet. So I'm wondering if
Yeah,
he'll land
well,
somewhere in one of the
right.
USFL cities with maybe the Michigan Panthers or one of these other teams. So
Yeah, we're just a bridge away from Canada.
yeah,
All right. The other thing that we wanted to do this week, kind of make this a quick show. because it is the day after Christmas. We thought we'd do a year in review. And this is mainly all the stuff that we did this past year. In the past, we've talked about, all the things that happened, the Super Bowl and the college, playoffs and all that. But we want to just concentrate on what we've done this year because this has been a really big year for you and I,
Yeah.
and your brother and Kyle. So
Adding them to the fold.
yep, yep. So we're expanding all the time. So back in June, we aired our 300th podcast. So we've been doing this for 6 years, and what's today? What would I say? 328 today.
Yep.
So we hit 300 podcasts in June. We started doing some YouTube shorts. We did some in the beginning where we compared our list of favorite helmets and teams and whatnot. So we've done some of those, but we've done a bunch of other shorts since then. In fact, we just did one last night
Yeah.
that is out there. You can see it's our little Christmas message to everybody. And let's see. So yeah, we did the YouTube Shorts. Back in April, you and I attended the Western New York chapter of the Pro Football Researchers Association meeting. So you got to meet a lot of the guys I've been hanging out with for
For a few
uh,
years.
10 years or so. And they were all happy to meet you because they've heard you on the podcast. And that was a good time. They had
It
some
was a
nice
great time.
speakers, and they just had a really good time there. Um, Always a good time. Jeff Miller, he puts on a heck of a meeting there every year,
Yep.
and every year he says, "I don't know if I'm going to do this anymore." And the next year, he does it bigger and better than the year before. So congratulations to him. Let's see. In July, we went to the national convention of the Pro Football Researchers Association in Pittsburgh, with a side trip to Latrobe, which was fascinating.
Yep.
I had a really good time there. More great speakers. You got to meet some more guys that I've been hanging out with for many years, and it was just a really good time. Seeing the Steelers Stadium and spending some time in Pittsburgh, which I've never spent any time in Pittsburgh. I've driven past it on my way to other places, but never really spent any time there. Let's see, we went over, back in February, I think, we hit 200 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And we're almost at 700
We
subscribers
are
now.
sitting
So
at 658 as of right now.
it's
So
been incredible. Thank you everybody for watching our our shtick on YouTube. We're just out here having fun, and we hope you're enjoying what we're doing and learning something and interacting with us. It's been a lot of fun. Uh, some of the games we went to this year, we didn't go to a lot of games, but in April we did go to an XFL game in St. Louis. We saw my Battle Hawks against your Vegas Vipers. We were each wearing our respective teams' T-shirts, and you had a hat too, and it was a great time.
yeah, people were giving me crap, heckling me, yeah,
Yeah,
for wearing my Viper stuff.
yeah.
But that
But
was all right though.
yeah, it was fine, and nobody
It was
was
all in
too
good
angry.
fun.
But
Yep.
yeah, but a good time was had. Um, so that was our XFL game for the year, which we should have gone to a year or two before.
Yeah.
But damn, COVID got in the way and ruined that trip for us. Let's see. Also in April, that same month, we attended a USFL doubleheader at Ford Field in Detroit. We got to see the Michigan Panthers play the New Jersey Generals, and we also sat through a game between the Pittsburgh Maulers and the Philadelphia
Yep,
Stars.
couple of good games.
That was a long
It
day.
was a very long day.
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle another doubleheader again. But it just worked out. I wanted to see the Generals. That was my team that I really wanted to see against the Panthers, and we did. And man, oh
Well,
man,
I
oh
mean,
man.
think about it. You got to see three of the four teams. Three of those four teams aren't coming back, so you
Yeah.
got to at least see teams before they folded.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep. We did that.
the
That's for
only team you
sure.
didn't see that folded was the what was the fourth team there? Because the Maulers, Stars, Generals, and what was the other one that didn't make it? The Breakers. The Breakers are the
Breakers.
only
Yeah.
one you didn't see.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. Let's see. And in August, you and I went to a Western Michigan football game here in town. They played an FCS team, the St. Francis, Pennsylvania Red Flash. Never seen them before. I'd like to see teams that I've never seen. I've seen all the teams in our conference. The MAC conference, and so I want to see other teams. And usually the first couple teams of the season they'll bring in people that I've never seen before. Sometimes big names, sometimes some FCS schools, but this year they only had one home game before they started their um, conference schedule. So they had 3 other away games against, bigger schools, non-conference games. So yeah, that's the only game we went to this year. Let's see, in September, I went to a high school game here at your old high school versus the Lawton Blue Devils, mainly because it was the last game that was going to be played at the original Maskell Field. That's where you played in the band, played in the halftime.
Yeah.
You didn't play soccer, but Aaron and Eden played soccer on that field, and I was in the press box for that, running the clock for the soccer games. And, that field has been around forever. And I'm sad actually to see it go, but they've got a brand new stadium out behind the high school on the other side of town.
Which opened up for one game for
Yeah.
some dumb reason.
Yeah. The night we had to go down to Aaron's wedding in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to see it. So I'm sure I'll go, and you probably will,
I'll probably try to
just to check
get the
out a
one in the
game next
fall.
year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to see the last game ever at the old field. And I guess I was talking to somebody from the school, and he said that it's. I said, well, what's going to happen to this? Are they going to tear this field down, or what are they going to do with it? And he said that it looks like it's going to be the rocket football, um, where they play rocket
Okay.
football from now on. And so that, they're still going to use it, but I don't know if they're going to rename it, because the new one is going to be called Maskell Field also, who was a great coach here in the state of Michigan, one of the top 10 coaches in the state of Michigan. I think he's in the Michigan Hall of Fame, possibly, or the
Sounds about right.
high school Hall of Fame. But yeah, he won like 4 state titles back in the '60s with this team, and he was still coaching when you were in school.
Nope.
Well, he took the 1990 team to the state championship game, but they lost. But you
I was
were,
only a year old, 2 years old.
oh, what's it? Okay,
Yeah. I don't
never
know how old
mind.
you think I am.
And Coach Maskell, he lived right down the street from us here.
Oh
He's
yeah,
like
yep.
a half a mile away.
I drove by his house all the time to get here for the podcast.
Yep,
So
yep. I did get him to autograph a book that was written about him many years ago, and so before he passed away, I think he passed away that fall. But yeah, I've got that. I was sitting up there on the shelf. So yeah, I wanted to go to the last game there, and I did.
oh.
Oops, sorry, almost knocked my microphone over.
Mhm.
Let's see. The big game this year, we went to the Monday Night Football game against the Las Vegas Raiders and the Detroit Lions, where there were those blue helmets with the throwback logo on it,
Yeah,
which I
what they
wasn't a
call
fan
the
of.
Mustang
Yeah,
logo
I
or
don't know. But
car logo.
uh,
It's got the 2 stripes, the racing stripe logo.
but it was a great win, a great atmosphere. I
Heck of
mean,
a
that was just
that was a fun night.
an awesome
Other than
evening.
the drive home, that was the
Yeah.
worst part. But it was a great time. I was supposed to make a video about our experience going to there. I have all the videos still there. I don't know if it's a little late to put it together
I say no.
for Christmas.
Get to
I
work on
mean,
that.
yeah, well, I got a couple videos that I'm supposed to have gotten up. Haven't had time to get them up, but I do have a few days off here.
Uh-huh.
See if I can't find time to put some stuff together.
But yeah, with that game, that ended my journey to go see all 31 other teams play against Detroit in person. Took me 49 years to accomplish it, but I finally did. So now I've seen all the other teams, starting with the Green Bay Packers in 1975 when I was 16 years
Yeah.
old. That was the first game I ever went to, and so now I've seen all the teams. So that was a pretty big night for me. Let's see. You and your brother-in-law Kyle started the Just Lying Around podcast, and you've done over 20
Yeah,
episodes
episode
so far.
21 was that last one.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yep, going strong. He's getting a kick out of it. He's as entertaining as ever.
yeah. Good year to start it.
I mean, what a year to start it, right? Like, I mean, who would have thought? Like, we
Yeah.
kind of figured they're going to be decent this year, but I mean, we were excited and just like, you know what, we want to talk about it every week, and
Mhm.
he especially wanted to kind of get involved and do it, and
Yep.
so I kind of helped lead him into getting this thing started, and he's give him a lot of credit. He's the one who comes up with the script. He's the one who looks up all the stats. He's the one who pretty much does what you do, and I just come in and talk.
So your co-host does everything for you, and you just show up and
I don't know if you know this, but this is what is called being a producer. I delegate to my subordinates and let them orchestrate the
Oh,
show.
I'm a subordinate
And then
now.
as the talent, I just show up and I perform.
Yeah, it's kind of hit or miss there. Let's see. We also did some videos this year called "Have Grave Will Travel," and those were a lot of fun. The
I
first
should
one
have maybe one more going up. The one we've been putting off for a little
yeah,
bit.
you've got 2 actually.
Oh, I got 2 to
You've
do. Oh
got
boy.
2 to do. But it started out back in April when we went to St. Louis and we found two NFL Hall of Famers in neighboring cemeteries right across the road from one another, and we got some nice video. We talked about them, what they did in their careers, and took some nice footage. And we've done several more since then. They're all up on our YouTube channel. You can check those out. Um, Something I've been doing for a long time, but and you've gone along with me to a few of them just to snap a picture or two, and that's all I've done in the past is just take a picture of me at the grave, and then I would write an article about the person and just tell his life story, where he went to college, where he played in the NFL or wherever, and so now it's kind of morphed into videos.
Yeah.
But I think videos, of course, are better when you can see the grave and see the cemetery, because some of these cemeteries are just so
And have
beautiful.
yourself on camera. Yeah.
That I'm not crazy about, but I do like showing where these things are located. Now, let's see. You also decided about halfway through this season that we needed to do NFL picks.
Oh,
So,
power
or
rankings.
I'm sorry, power rankings. So we got Aaron involved in that,
Yeah,
and
yep. So we did the NFL picks, and you kind of mixed a couple bullet points. So we've been doing the NFL picks for the last few years.
right,
We've
just
done
you and me.
you and me doing videos for the last 2
I
years,
think so.
and then we incorporated Aaron this year. Kyle helped fill in, but then Kyle started throwing in some picks.
Right,
But then with those two now, they help make up the World of Football staff, as we like to call it, the four
right.
of us,
The on-air
and
talent.
and we are we kind of amalgamate our four picks for the top 10 teams in the NFL. We put up those shorts every week.
Right.
So those have been fun seeing. Like, I'll get your picks in. I'm like, really? You're putting this team at number two? Aaron's picks and my picks look similar. Then Kyle's got something totally different. I'm like, what in the world? Like, what is he smoking? But then we kind of aggregate it out, and then we spit out a overall top 10 list. And usually, I think our lists are pretty spot on. When we get the aggregate out, it looks a little more like, okay, I could see why this team would maybe fit in here.
Yeah,
But I mean, shoot, we're gonna have a shuffle this week after that Baltimore game. So
yeah.
I mean, I have fun doing that stuff, and so
Well, yeah. Nothing would be on YouTube if it weren't for you.
that's
You've
true.
done it all.
Oh, I'm glad we got that on audio.
Well, I didn't even want to do the podcast in the beginning, and you forced me to do that. Now you're forcing me to do everything
And
on
look where we're
video.
at now, man. You
Yeah,
you got
700
a
followers, and
pretty good podcast. You got a pretty decent YouTube channel that people seem to like. So everything's coming up, Randy.
yeah, and you just really enjoy making fun of me, like with the Taylor Swift sweatshirt that I was forced
Everybody
to
loved it.
wear,
I don't
and
know what you're talking about. We all love you for it.
but now you weren't with me for all of these grave visits this past year, but I went to 11 different graves, starting out with the grave of Les Bingaman, who played for the Detroit Lions during the 50s. My wife and I went to Mackenzie, Tennessee to visit his grave. Then the first one that you and I went to in St. Louis, Jimmy Conzelman and Larry White were the two that we found. You were also with me when I found the grave of Isaac Seneca in Irving, New York. And we also went to see the grave of Pop Warner in Springville, New York. You weren't with me, but your mom was with me when we went to see the graves of Paul Horning and Joe Guyon in in Louisville, Kentucky. And then your mom and I went to see the grave of Ollie Klein, another guy that played for the Detroit Lions and played for Ohio State, in West Liberty, Ohio, which is just north of Dayton, and Al Bobartsky in Dayton, Ohio. Al Bobartsky changed his name to Al Bart because people couldn't pronounce it or were mispronouncing it. But he was one of the 7 blocks of granite from Fordham University and played next to Vince Lombardi when he was in college. Let's see. And finally, Hall of Famer Ed Healy, your mom and I went to in Niles, Michigan, just north of South Bend. And uh, Emil Sitko went to Notre Dame and played, I think, for the Cardinals and the Bears in Chicago. But he is buried in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where Aaron lives now. So, yeah, a lot of graves visited. Last year in 2022, I think was my biggest year ever for visiting graves. I think I did like 15 or 16 graves that year. This was 11, but um, some really good stories on all these gentlemen. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoy the journey and learning more about these guys who should not be forgotten. So looking ahead to 24, already we're getting excited about the Arena Football League coming back. Um, and we're already talking about going to at least one game, maybe in Nashville, Tennessee, and another one in Minneapolis. So those will be driving to. But I realized the other day that the first home game for the Nashville Cats is going to be against the Minnesota Myth. It's in April sometimes, toward the end of April. So maybe that's one we can go to.
That's draft weekend. And
Oh, that's
and
right.
we're talking about going to the
Yeah,
NFL
that's
draft.
right.
Trying to. We still haven't really nailed that down, but
Yeah.
uh
But the
so
NFL draft is another thing that we're looking
yeah, that's
at doing
something.
in April. Um, and then maybe another Michigan Panthers game
And obviously the
at Ford
Lions
Field.
playoff game for sure next month.
Yep.
So and definitely we always do at least one Lions game during the season usually.
Yep.
So we'll see, we'll probably have another game next year.
Yep.
So we
Maybe
get
Lions training camp. We weren't able to get in this year because
maybe
they changed it where you had to have a
yeah.
ticket and they sold out right
So we'll
away.
see about that, and then we'll see about. Well, we usually go to a Western game no matter what, so
Yep.
we'll definitely hit up a Western game.
Yep.
Trying to think.
Seeing a game at the new Maskell Field here
That'll be another
at
thing.
your old
So
high school.
we got a bunch of stuff already lined up.
Yeah.
So next year's going to be
Just as
just as
busy.
busy as it was this year
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
got.
And then we talked about going to Canada. I want to go to the Grey Cup.
Yes.
We got to figure
Oh,
that
that's right.
out.
You
I
want to go to?
really want to go to the Grey Cup. That is my goal for the
Well, we've got to
2024.
get our passports then.
All right, let's do it.
Because I'm not driving to Vancouver.
Let's go right now. Hang up the podcast and let's go.
And oh, there was something else. I can't remember what it was now. It's something that ran through my mind that yeah, we want to go to Toronto game, and so we've already looking into that.
Going to a Toronto game and the Grey Cup.
Yep.
And then what other football leagues are going to be playing? There's the indoor football's going on. I mean,
Yeah, haven't traveled to too many indoor games.
I mean, they got a team over in Green Bay. If we're over there in Minnesota, shoot, maybe we should hit up a Green Bay game on the way
Who
back.
knows? But yeah, lots hopefully going on. Graves. Yeah, I've got a couple graves around Canton, Ohio. I want to look for. There's another one in Indiana, Lamar Lundy.
Already getting season 2
One of
ready.
the one of the original fearsome foursome from the Rams back in the '60s and '70s. So yeah, it's going to be a busy year already for the world of football, and already I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
Looking forward to winter being over, spring arriving, and us hitting the road.
Yeah.
It should be a lot of fun. Probably going to be going back to New York again for another PFRA meeting there.
Yeah, their Western chapter, yeah.
Yeah, depending on the dates. I know that's in April too. I hope that doesn't conflict with the draft. Usually it doesn't. So hopefully we can attend that too. Okay, well that's enough about what we did last year. Peyton's Places. This was the season finale this week, episode 10, and it was called The Santa Game, which took place in 1968 at Franklin Field in Philadelphia. I don't know if you remember the story, but uh, the team was playing really terrible, and a guy came out dressed as Santa Claus, and they pelted him with snowballs and
Yes.
chased him off the field. And it wasn't even the guy that they hired to do that because the regular guy never showed up, and this other guy was a fan that was just sitting in the stands with a Santa Claus suit on, and they asked him to come down and fill in for him, and so he did, and he got pelted by snowballs. They didn't actually talk to him. I think he's long gone, but they showed film of an interview with him about that day, and so at the end, he was Peyton was on a fire truck going around city of Philadelphia, pelting people on the sidewalk with snowballs that they had in a freezer. They had all these snowballs made up, but they had Ricky Waters, who played for Philadelphia, and Matt Millen also, because he's from Pennsylvania. So, other than Matt Millen, it was a really good episode.
The season finale, right?
Season finale, yep. 10 episodes this year. So, always a good show. Check that out on ESPN Plus. Peyton's Places. There's been 4 seasons so far. They're all really good. And especially go back to, was it season 2? Where he and Jeff Daniels
Last year, so season 3.
Season 3 exercised the curse of Bobby Lane at Ford Field. That started this whole thing, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You watch that and you'll be going, my God, they did it. They actually did it. All right. Today's birthdays, December 26th. Halfback Glenn Davis, born on this date in 1924. He passed away in 2005 at the age of 80. He attended West Point and was known as Mr. Outside to Doc Blanchard's Mr. Inside. He also won the 1946 Heisman Trophy out of Army, and he was selected with the second overall pick in the 1947 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions. However, he still had a military commitment to fulfill, and he finally did sign with the Los Angeles Rams and played there for 2 seasons in 1950 and 1951. He won an NFL title with the Rams in 1951, beating the Cleveland Browns, but a knee injury ended his playing career. And I believe the PFRA has a book coming out about the 51 Rams this fall, and I actually got to write the chapter on. Or no, that's already
I
out,
was
isn't
gonna say
it?
the Rams one's been out.
Yeah, that's been out. We got the Bills book coming out. Man, that's so many books coming out. But yes, I wrote the chapter on Glenn Davis, so that was pretty interesting. Davis was married to Oscar-nominated actress Terry Moore. She actually appeared on the old Batman TV show in an episode or two. Let's see. He um, he briefly dated actress Elizabeth Taylor. He was big into all these Hollywood starlets, but his third marriage was to a lady by the name of Yvonne Amici. She had been married to the 1954 Heisman Trophy winner Alan Amici, who won the trophy from Wisconsin. You may remember him as the guy that scored the touchdown in the greatest game ever played, the Baltimore Colts against the Giants in 1958. And uh, she is the only woman to ever be married to two Heisman Trophy winners. And Glenn Davis is buried at West Point, and yes, he's on my list. I don't know if I'll get to him this year, but even your mom said she'd like to go to check out West Point and go to the cemetery. Red Blake is not too far from where he's buried, also. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making a trip to West Point sometime and checking out the grave of Red Blake and Glenn Davis. All right. Also, on this date in 1964, the Buffalo Bills defeated the San Diego Chargers by the score of 20-6 to win the American Football League title.
20-7.
20-7. I'm sorry. And exactly 1 year later to the day, on December 26, 1965, the Buffalo Bills defeated the San Diego Chargers by shutting them out 20-0 to win their second AFL title. And that's the other book that we've got coming out next summer, and that is the Bills' 1964 season. All right, we do have one obituary to talk about this week. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. That one obituary is that of Ed Budd, a guard in the NFL and the American Football League for 14 seasons, has passed away at the age of 83. Budd played college football at Michigan State and was selected with the fourth overall pick in the 1963 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He was also selected with the eighth overall pick in the 1963 American Football League Draft by the Kansas City Chiefs. He signed with the Chiefs and played his entire career in Kansas City from 1963 to 1976. Bud played in Super Bowl I and Super Bowl IV, winning Super Bowl IV by defeating the Minnesota Vikings that year. Finally, our upcoming events calendar. Saturday, January 3rd, the Rice Bowl in Japan. That's the Japanese X League Championship game. It's going to be the Panasonic Impulse versus the Fujitsu Frontiers. On Sunday, January 7th, it's the FCS Championship game in Frisco, Texas, South Dakota State versus Montana. And Monday, January 8th, the FBS College Football National Championship game in Houston. We don't know who's going to be in that one yet, but hopefully Michigan will get past Alabama and make that a good
We'll
championship
find
game.
out this
Yeah,
New Year's
in a
Eve.
couple of days, New
Yeah.
Year's Eve. Let's see. Sunday, February 4th, the the Pro Bowl games in Orlando. I'm not going to watch that. Probably not. Let's see. Sunday, February 11th is Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, and that's it for our upcoming events. Anything else that you wanted to mention or anything that came across your phone while we've been talking?
Nothing has popped up, it looks like. Just, slow news, with the holidays and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we didn't even talk a lot about like some of the Chiefs drama that happened on the sidelines of their
Yeah.
game.
I didn't really watch that game.
Well, we didn't. We were too busy Christmasing it up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I saw the stuff of Kelsey throwing his helmet on the sideline, Mahomes yelling at his offensive line. It's just not the same Chiefs team.
Yeah, I
It's
guess
just
not.
not. But I mean, other than that, not a whole lot of news, I think, from
Okay.
this week.
Okay. Yeah, take some time out away from football this week. Spend some time with your family. Hopefully, you don't have to work this week wherever you're listening.
That's what we did. We got enough family time, and now we're back to football.
Yeah, we did all that yesterday. We,
Hmm.
we had what 10 people and 4 dogs here.
Man,
It was a hectic but fun evening. It went better than I expected. We've never
yeah,
had that many people and dogs here at one time,
man,
and it was good.
it was a good
It
time.
was a good
The
time.
World of
Yep,
Football Christmas party did not disappoint.
that's right. All right. That's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can follow the World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address for all three of those is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube channel. Just search for the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in your YouTube search bar. So please spread the word and subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, and let us know what you think. And please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting right here. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job, maybe. I'm Randy Snow.
And for the next 365 days, fingers crossed, the Detroit Lions will at least be the NFC North champions. We got a year to celebrate this.
That's right. See you all next week.